and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live. And I am going to show you today a little sneak peek at some new goodies that are coming in the January to June mini catalog, and show you a card that I made with them. So I used a couple of new things. The first thing is the stamp set bundle, which is called Ride the Range, and for whatever reason, oh, there we go. I was going to say I can't find myself live, so I want to make sure I was in the right place. So, all right. So I have a new bundle here. It is called Ride the Range, and it's a cute little stamp set with some fun sentiments and things in it, and some kind of Western-looking images, I guess you could call them that. And some dies that coordinate with it. So I actually bought this and fell in, hey, thanks for hopping in, Kay. I'm not sure, is it Karen? I can't remember. I'm sorry, I don't know, Catherine, Karen. It just says Kay. So, hey, Jerry, thanks for joining today as well, and Bree. So thanks for everybody for hopping in. I appreciate you being here. All right, so the die set actually, hey, Pam, thanks for joining too. The die set is actually what sold me on this. The stamp set is nice. Yes, I like it. It's fine. But the die set, I loved the windmill. I love the little fence. I love the clouds. I love the little border die. So it's just kind of a good die set. So it's Karen. Okay. I don't know why I thought that's what it was. And then I had a moment of panic where I didn't think that was the right person. So, hey, Patricia, I'm glad you're here. And Akiko as well. Thanks for joining. So this is the new bundle. And it is, again, going to be available beginning on January 5th in the January to June 2021 Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog. So these two items are going to be available at a 10% discount for you if you're interested in purchasing those. And again, this is the card we made with it. I also used on the background, I don't know how well it shows up in the video. Hey, Marilyn and Julie and Lori, thanks for joining today as well. So on the background, I used the blending brushes to kind of give it a little different look, a little like a sunset look. But that was what I was going for, so hopefully I pulled it off. So, all right. So that is that for the card. A couple things before I get going. Stampin' Up! Is the Whisper White products are going away, but don't panic. They have a replacement called Basic White, and it will be coming soon. We don't know exactly when, but there are going to be new products that'll be a replacement and very comparable to what we currently have for Whisper White. So anyhow, so it's coming. Keep an eye on that. And again, just know that the current Whisper White products are only while supplies last. So if you love Whisper White and want to make sure you get some, get out to the online store and get it now. The thick Whisper White, the 12 by 12, and the note cards have already all sold out. But the rest of the products are still available, at least last time I looked. So, hey, thanks everybody. Kathy and Joy and Lois, thanks for hopping in. And Karen, taking a break from work. I like it. So, all right. So don't forget about that. I also have my January to June mini catalog designer series paper shares that I'm offering. So you can get signed up from anytime between now and January 3rd, and you're going to get a sampling of all of the new designer series paper packs from the upcoming catalog. So go take a look on my website, which is stampwithamyk.com, and the details are posted out there for my shares, and also a couple of team member shares who are doing full product shares. I am only doing the designer paper. Some are doing ribbons and embellishments and all that. So go take a peek at it. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, it's out on my blog, stampwithamyk.com. Last thing, and then I swear we'll get going on the stamping, is the year-end closeout sale is going on, and things are starting to sell out kind of quickly now. So if there are things that are going away from the current August to December 2020 mini catalog that you are wanting, make sure you get out and get them purchased. Because again, there are some really good deals. And on top of that, some things are they're starting to go away. So make sure you get out there, get your purchases made out of the mini catalog, and make sure you get all those last minute things for the holidays before we get going. So, okay, back to the card. As I said, I used the dies from the Ride the Range stamp set bundle. I also used one of these stitched nested labels dies, and it was this one in particular, which is the second largest one. And that's how I made my little sentiment banner on here. So I did use that. And then I think that's all. Oh, and the banners pick-a-punch I used to punch the ends of the little banners here. So let's get going and doing some stamping here. I'll stop talking. Hey, Kay, thanks for hopping in, and I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to start with crushed curry cardstock. That is the little base that I started with, and then we've got the blending brushes and terracotta tile ink that I'm going to use as the first color on it. The blending brushes, I know I've had some questions about them. They're a little bit flexible here, kind of in the neck area, but they're not like really floppy and they won't bend like in half or anything. They do have a little flex to them, but not enough that it causes a problem. Actually, I think they work really well. And then there's like a billion little tiny bristles in here, really, really super soft bristles. And you just go and, like I said, open up the terracotta tile here and just kind of swipe your blending brush across it. I usually tend to start off my project initially, just so that I don't get like a color surprise and a, oops, I didn't mean to do quite that dark, you know, kind of thing. But then just going to take the blending brush, and I sort of, again, was trying to get like a sunrise or sunset kind of look with it. So I'm just taking my terracotta tile and I'm running it across here, which I know it's hard to see because it's very light, and eventually you'll start to see the color coming out in it. But again, just add in a little ink at a time. It works better to go with a little less and add many layers than it does to put a huge glob of ink on it and then be sad. Now, I have found out, because I've been playing a little bit with the blending brushes, that you can smooth some of the globs out. Like if you do an accidental, ooh, that's way too much ink in the one spot, I found that you can kind of, if you keep brushing it, it sort of smooths it out a little bit for you. So just know that, again, it's not going to fix everything. So if you have a really bad boo-boo, it likely won't fix it for you. But just kind of, if you have one of those where you get like a little extra kind of smudge or whatever, when I've been playing with it, I've been able to get it pretty well brushed out and smoothed into the background. So it's not so much of an issue. But again, I'm just coming back in here and continuing to add terracotta tile, and I'm going to go all the way up to the top here with it and keep darkening it. I'm kind of looking at my sample over there and trying to figure out how many layers did I put on, and I think I put on a lot of them. Hey, Roz, glad you're joining today. Yeah, Catherine, the blending brushes are really good. I was so happy to see those added to the catalog. So while I am doing this, I guess I should have said that this is crushed curry cardstock. It's cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And again, all the details and measurements will be out on my blog tomorrow, and I will share the post link here in this video tomorrow once the blog post goes live. And I'm hoping I'm not wiggling the screen incredibly for you and not making you seasick. It's kind of hard to do this with the camera right in front of me, and trying not to wiggle on the table, but still trying to get it inked well. So hopefully you can see the color is starting to come out in it, and I'm seeing a bit of orange on it, which is what I wanted to see. Next up, I'm going to close this up for a second, and if I decide later I want to come back and add a little bit more terracotta tile, I can always do that. The second color that I used was actually real red. They are super easy to clean. Yep, I agree. They actually, these are the two brushes that I used when I made this card initially, and I was expecting with these two colors of ink that the brushes would really stain badly, and they didn't. I mean, not every single speck of the ink came out of it, but they pretty well went back to white by the time I rinsed them out in the sink and just rinsed them out with water, let them sit overnight, and they were air dried and ready to go this morning. So they're really, like I said, easy to use and easy to clean. So again, I'm adding in a little bit of real red ink around the edges here, trying to get it just again a little darker, a little kind of gradient of color here. And I'm starting, this time I'm trying to start with the darker up towards the top and then blending down to where I had the terracotta tile. And just working my way so that the colors will be blended together a little bit. But like I said, they're really easy to use, and I don't know, it's kind of fun, I think. And I love looking at I love the smooth kind of color that you get, where a lot of times with sponges, you get sort of a glob of ink, and it kind of looks a little streaky and things, but the blending brushes are super, super easy to use and just really give it a nice smooth finish where it looks, this one I think kind of looks almost ombre by the time you get done with it, because it's just kind of a smooth layer color where it changes kind of from one color to the next. So, and that's the look I wanted to go with, the little sunset that I was attempting to do here. Oh, Karen likes the brushes too. Yeah, they're really, really good. So I like them a lot. And they come in a pack of 3. I guess I didn't say that either. And they will also be available beginning January 5th in the new mini catalog. All right, I think we are going to call that good with the background blending, and hopefully you can see it and see the changes in the color. I'll kind of hold it up here. I'm not sure which way the lighting works best, whether it's best to hold it up or hold it back, but either way, hopefully you can see the sort of difference in the shading that I've got here on the background. All right, next up, I am going to do a little bit of adhering of cardstock, and I've pre-cut some of the pieces. Again, I used the dies from the Ride the Range bundle. The little background pieces here that I've cut are cut from Early Espresso cardstock, and I actually oversized them intentionally. I put them at about 4 inches wide when I cut them, just so that I can layer them on here, get them where I want them, and then trim the edges even. So how I got these is I actually just took this die, which is kind of the border die that's in here, and I put it on a piece of cardstock like this. And then the second time I ran it through with another piece of cardstock and sort of flipped it the opposite way, so it gave me one hill that went one way and one hill that went the other way. So that was how I got the 2 die cuts done. But again, I did those ahead of time so that you didn't have to sit here and watch me do that. Got a little stamp and seal, hopefully, that I'll get running here. And get this adhered to the card front. And again, I did intentionally want a little bit oversized on this because I wanted to be able to line it up evenly on the edges. That's when you're doing the layers like this, I find it easier to have things cut too wide, and you can always trim them down. If you cut them too narrow, they sometimes end up at just the wrong angle and they don't work well for you. All right, the next piece that I did was I die cut one of the little windmills. And again, this is from soft suede cardstock. And I die cut it with the coordinating die here. This does not coordinate with the stamped image. It's just one of the accessory dies in the Ride the Range die set, but that is the die that I used. And a couple little dabs of liquid glue will adhere it down very well. And I'm going to add another layer of cardstock over the top of part of it, so it doesn't need to be stuck down, you know, super, super well, but well enough that it holds. Anyhow, you can also use the adhesive sheets if you think ahead like I did not do. This would be an easy one to do, to have the adhesive sheets and just peel off the sticker on the back and stick it down with the adhesive sheets. But of course, I didn't plan that well. All right, so we're going to adhere this down here on the card front. And again, give it just a second to make sure it's stuck down well. And then I'm going to add my second layer of the little hillside here, which looks like I got this one down a little bit lower, but it's okay. It's all good. I think the other one, the one that I put on earlier, the one that I did on this card is actually a little bit higher up, but that's okay. It all looks good. So, all right, so I'm going to take the second little piece of the hill die cut that I've got, and I'm going to layer it over the top of the first one. And again, I've got my edges here that are overlapping the side, or hanging over the side, I should say, a little bit. And we're just going to trim those down and make sure that everything is lined up here the way I want it to be. And then we're all good. All right, let me grab my snips. What is the large die for? You know, it doesn't cut out anything specific. What I think it's for is you can cut out a frame with it. There's nothing in the stamp set that necessarily matches it. So I think you can, you know, have this be sort of a framed image if you wanted to. I haven't played with it much. I should pull out the catalog and see how they used it in there. But that is my guess, is that you can sort of put a frame and then, you know, maybe stamp some of the images on the background and then have some of them closer up using the frame. But I'll play with it and let you know. So, all right, so I'm going to trim off the edges here. Just do a little quick snip with my paper snips and get those evened up. And then we are going to adhere that to a panel of Early Espresso cardstock, if I can pick it up. This panel, I said, was cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I'm going to adhere it to a panel of Early Espresso cardstock that I had cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. All right, get that adhered together. And then we're going to stick the little fence on. All right, so I've got the die cut fence. Again, this was cut from soft suede cardstock ahead of time. And this one's real easy to adhere down with the multi-purpose liquid glue as well. Just a couple little dots on the thicker part of the fence, and that held the die cut really well for me when I adhered it onto my sample card. And again, this is another one that I had thought ahead and used the adhesive sheets. This would have been a good one to use the adhesive sheets with as well. But I'm just going to stick it down, and I know that it's going to overlap a little bit, and that is just fine because I'm going to be trimming it down here in a second to fit onto the card front. I don't mind it hanging a little bit over, but that's a little bit further than it probably needs to be, and it'd be hanging off the edge of the card if I didn't trim it down a little bit. So I'm just taking my paper snips, and I think we'll go about there. Whoop, and about there maybe with it. I may need to trim that up just a hair more, just so that we're not hanging off the card. All right, so that part is done. The next thing that I did is I've got a couple of pieces of Designer Series paper. These are both from the Subtles 6" by 6" Designer Series paper pack. This one is soft suede and this one is early espresso. And I've got my Banners Pick-a-Punch, which is got two different punch ends on it. One that's kind of a pointed punch and one of them that's a typical banner punch. These are 1/2 inch wide, and I cannot remember, 2.5, and then about 2 7/8 for the second one. And again, those don't have to be an exact length, just because you can always trim them up if they're too long, or you can hide it if they're too short. So either way, you can make these work. As long as they're about 1/2 inch wide, you're good to go. And my piece of the punch just went totally, my little piece of paper punch just went completely flying off and hit me in the arm. So, all right, so I'm going to take those and put them here on the card front. I'm going to wait for a second until I get my sentiment cut before I decide whether I want these to be trimmed up a little bit or not. For now, I'm just going to leave them here. All right, I have got my sentiment from the Ride the Range stamp set. We're going to stamp it in early espresso ink on a piece of terracotta tile cardstock. You can see the shading now that it's layered. Good. Okay. I was hoping it would show up well. It's like I said, it's the camera, the light on it it's sometimes just difficult to see. You're trying to get it lit up so that you can see everything, but then there's too much light. It almost washes everything out as well. So, all right, let me get this in here and hopefully get it stamped somewhat straight. And hopefully I stamped it right side up. Yep. There we go. I did. And as you can see, it's stamped a little crookedy, and that is just fine because I've got my Stampin' trimmer out. So once I've cut the sentiment out, what's important when I line this up here is making sure that it's straight across this way. The top doesn't have to be straight because you can always trim it off the top later. So when I run it through the die cutting machine, I'm going to make every effort to make sure that this stays on here so that it's lined up straight on the edges here. And I sort of lined it up, not straight across, but kind of down where the edges of the sentiment were kind of right in the corner on both of those. So let me do some die cutting here, just off the screen a little bit. Hopefully y'all are enjoying your day. We are supposed to be getting snow, and kind of a lot of snow, it sounds like, here in New Jersey tomorrow. So we're all prepared. We have the generator stuff all set up just in case the power goes out, and we got the ice melt and the snow shovel stuff all ready to go for out front. It sounds like we're going to get kind of a lot of snow from what the forecast is saying. But of course, now that we're all prepared for it, we'll probably get rain, and that'll be all. Because that's usually how it goes. If we were totally unprepared, then we'd have a pile of snow. But either way, it's all right. We'll survive it one way or the other. So, all right, so I'm going to take my Stampin' trimmer, and hopefully you saw what I did here. I've lined up the straight edge here with the edge of my trimmer, and I'm just going to take the trimmer and cut it straight across the top. So that's why it doesn't matter how crazy crooked you stamp it, because it always ends up coming out straight after you trim it off a little bit. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like the blending, Margaret. So, all right. Now I'm going to lay these on here and sort of get an idea of how long I want these little tag or little banners to be underneath my sentiment, because the sentiment again is going to end up just a little bit different each time, just because, you know, you're hand stamping it. So one could be a little shorter, one could be a little longer. I think I need to trim these up just a little bit, not a ton, but take maybe 1/4 of an inch or so off of them. And that should be good. And then I will go ahead and adhere them down. Might be a year for snow. Karen, you're not supposed to say that to somebody who's fairly new to New Jersey. I'm not ready to hear that this could be a year for snow. So no, I'm not, like I said, I don't mind a little snow. It's pretty. It was nice when it snowed the other day, and then it all melted, and yeah, that was kind of nice, but I'm not sure that I'm ready for a full-on, like, whole year of snow and ickiness. So, but I guess, you know, that's part of it. At some point it was going to happen. All right, so I'm adhering those onto the card front with a little Stampin' seal, and then I'm going to take the sentiment that I just stamped and die cut with the stitched nested labels dies, and I'm going to adhere that with Stampin' seal as well over the top of the two banners and lining it up here at the top. And we're almost done with the card front. I've got some of the metallic pearls, and these are the gold ones in particular. I'm going to stick one of those up here next to my sentiment, hopefully. Should have grabbed my little tool to pick it instead of my fingers, but all right. And that's basically the card front. So I just need to adhere it onto the card base and we're almost done. Dimensionals, here we go. So I have got a soft suede card base. My original card base was cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2, so it's a top fold card. This card that I'm making, I actually do have a little different card base on it. This is a 5 1/2 by, or 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, sorry, scored at 4 1/4 card base. So the card front ends up being the same. It's just a little different folding on the card, that's all. All right, so let me get this last one peeled off here and we'll put the card front on, hopefully, straight. That's always the aim. All right, and then on the inside of the card, I just stamped a little barbed wire image. And again, this is from the Ride the Range stamp set, and I stamped it in soft suede ink. Where is my piece of Whisper White cardstock? I may have to take off for a moment. I thought I had the Whisper White here, but I do not. Hold on. All right, good thing I have my trimmer over here and close by, so I can cut a little piece of cardstock here for us that is the right size. So 4, and I think this is already 5 1/4. So yep, so that should be the inside of the card. Yikes, sorry about that. Good thing my trimmer was close. So, okay, so when I stamped this initially, I know I'm never going to be able to repeat this, but when I stamped it the first time, I just inked it and stamped it and inked it and stamped it a second time, and they lined up perfectly in the middle. I don't know how I did it, but I'm sure this one is going to be all sorts of crazy looking now that I say that, oh, it was really easy, and I didn't even really try to line them up. I just stamped them. So we'll see how it goes. Stamp that barbed wire once. And then, like I said, I just came over here and just blindly stamped it again. They aren't as perfect this time. I don't know. I couldn't believe it when I did that last time. I'm like, oh, they lined up perfectly. So, and I swear I didn't use anything other than just putting it together, stamping it. But either way, I think it's kind of a rustic look card, so I don't think it needs to be perfect with the barbed wire either. All right, we're going to use a little Stampin' seal to adhere this to the inside of the card base, and we'll be all done. All right. There we go. All right, so that's it for the inside of the card. I am going to fold it closed here and use the bone folder, give it a good solid crease. And that's it. So definitely you need to get the blending brushes, and definitely you need to get the stamp set. They're both good ones. When the mini catalog starts up here on January 5th, let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget, Celebration is also starting on January 5th. And if you are interested in joining, there's a little joining promotion starting on January 5th. So all kinds of cool stuff. Definitely reach out if you have any questions about anything. My customers, almost all of you have your catalogs. I know there are a handful that are still waiting on them, and I'm waiting impatiently on the post office as well. Hopefully they'll be arriving today or tomorrow, or maybe by this weekend. I don't know. All right. So thanks again for joining today. I appreciate you all being here. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I will plan to be back on my YouTube channel live on Friday around 2 o'clock Eastern time, and then back here next week, Tuesday around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Facebook Live. As far as the holiday weekend, I probably am not going to go live over the Christmas weekend, but I will catch you all later. So again, I will plan to be here this week Friday and next week Tuesday, and we will see from there how it goes. So thanks again for joining today. I will chat with you all soon.